Hello students. So let's start this chapter some basic concepts of chemistry. Alright. In this you already know that what is chemistry. It is the branch of science that deals with the structure, properties, interaction, transformation of a matter and also the energy changes that accompany these transformation. So basically we can say that chemistry is the study of atoms, how atoms combine to form molecules and how molecules combine to form matter. So chemistry is it has several branches, but the main three are the physical, organic, and inorganic chemistry. All right. So first of all, let's have a look about the importance or scope of chemistry. So importance, what are the importance? See, chemistry has helped us to meet with all our requirements that are necessary for the advancement of life, such as food additives, healthcare products, plastics, dyes, polymers, etc. So basically I can say that chemistry is everywhere. Okay, so there are some of the applications which are discussed in detail in the notes, right? I'm just giving a gist over here. So first of all, chemistry has helped us to create several life-saving drugs. Even the vaccine which have now created and prepared by the scientist, it is also somewhat linked with chemistry and biochemistry. Two drugs are there, cisplatin and cistaxol, which is used for the treatment of cancer. Then we have another drug named azithromycin, which is very much effective for AIDS victims. So all these are made up of chemistry. Then we have polymer industry, then we have atmospheric science, chemical engineering, environment, solid state physics, forensic science. So basically chemistry is everywhere. All right. Now we know about matter, right? That anything that occupies space and has mass is called matter, right? And matter is classified in two ways: chemical classification and physical classification, or physical or chemical classification. So physical classification of matter, you already have studied all these things in standard 9. Just have a look and revise. Physical classification is solid, liquid and gases, and chemical classification mixture and pure substances. Then it is further divided into homogeneous, heterogeneous and elements and compounds, right? So here this is the physical classification of matter. So physically it is classified into solid, liquid and gas. We know that in solids molecules are tightly packed, in liquid they are less tightly packed, and in gases they are free to move. Fine. After that we have pure substances and mixture. Pure substances are matters which have same type of molecules throughout, or atoms. They are pure substances. And mixture, when two or more pure substances combine to form mixtures, they form mixtures. So pure substances are again divided into element and compound, and mixture is again divided into homogeneous and heterogeneous mixtures. Okay. Now, so we know all these things, right? So today now I'm going to talk about some properties of matter and their measurement. If matter is there, then we need something to measure it but because without measuring we can't proceed, right? So each substance is associated with some unique set of characteristics called properties of matter. Okay. See, each one of us are different. Each one of us have our own characteristics, isn't it? So similarly, all matter have their own characteristics. So these properties are basically physical properties and chemical properties. So throughout chemistry, we will study about these two properties, especially organic and inorganic chemistry. Now, physical properties, what are these? So the properties which can be observed, right, or measured or observed without changing the identity or the composition of the substance. Means you just have to observe it. Meaning, if I ask you that tell me the characteristics of a stranger you met yesterday, you will tell me that ma'am, his or her height is this, color of hair is that, color of skin is that, etc., etc. So these are the physical properties you are describing. Similarly, in chemistry, physical properties are color, odor means smell, melting point, boiling point, density. These are all the physical properties. So for measurement, you only need to observe the physical properties and it's done, right? So now let's move on to the chemical properties. Chemical properties of matter which can be observed only after undergoing some kind of chemical change. You cannot observe it just by seeing it. You need to perform some kind of chemical changes, some kind of chemical test to ensure that what type of properties it has. Okay, meaning if you have to do some chemical reaction to see whether some chemical changes is happening or not. For example, if I say combustion of wood, in combustion of wood, combustion of wood is what type of change? Physical or chemical? Chemical change. So if you want to study the combustion of wood and want to determine how much heat is produced, now you have to combust the wood in presence of oxygen to study that. So combustibility, then we have acidity, basicity, these all are chemical properties of matter. Alright, fine. Is that clear up to now? Okay. Now, just suppose I have given you some oxygen, right, to work with, and I ask you what are the physical properties. You will say that, ma'am, it is colorless, it is odorless, it is tasteless, etc., etc. And if I ask you the chemical properties, you are most likely to say that it is important for combustion, it reacts almost to each and every element, right? But if you go to a laboratory to conduct some kind of experiment, first of all, you need to know that how much oxygen will be needed to perform that specific experiment. What is the weight of oxygen? What is the weight of oxygen? What is the mass of oxygen? What is the volume of oxygen that should be taken, right? So we need to measure this oxygen first. So measurement is very, very important. Without measuring matter, we cannot proceed in any kind of experiment that we have to perform in chemistry. So measurement is what? It is the qualitative measure of matter. Measurement is what? It is the qualitative measure of matter. Fine. So how do we represent anything that we measure? How do we represent anything that we are measuring? For example, if you are measuring something, just say I have given you a scale and I am saying that please for me just measure what is the length of this specific, just say USB cable. If I am giving you some USB cable, just I'm asking you to measure it for me. So what you will do, you will take the USB cable and you will measure it using a scale. So just say if you have if your measurement comes 20 centimeters. So what is this? This is a numerical value now. This is a numerical digit or value, and this centimeter is the unit which basically helps us to understand how much the specific matter weighs or what is the length and all. Okay, if you say that, ma'am, it is just 20, how am I able to understand that it is 20 watt, 20 centimeter, 20 meter, 20 watt? Okay, so basically any simple numerical figure like this, it does not convey any meaningful information. So when I say it is 20 centimeter, now you are getting that what I am trying to say here. So this is how any substance which is being measured is represented, a numerical value plus unit. Now let's talk about the unit. What is unit? Okay, now unit is defined as a standard of reference which is chosen to measure a physical quantity. Okay, now there are several units available for depicting something, right? That is for measuring mass. We can use gram, we can use milligram, we can use kg, etc., etc. We can also use pounds, right? So which one to choose? It is a bit confusing, right? So in 18th century there were two different system of measurement. It was the English system and the metric system. Okay, now the English system was the less famous system. It was the less famous system. In which century I am talking about? This is 18th century. And the metric system is was widely famous. Okay, now in English system, why it was less famous is here decimals were ignored, but in metric system decimal system was included. Now, English system was basically was followed in Britain, and metric system in France. So the English people and the French people had their own system of measurements, so it was very difficult to follow one. So in 1875, a conference was held in Paris. It was the 11th General Conference on Weights and Measurement, right? And it was held in Paris, and a new system was launched, which was known as the International System of Units. Okay, so in French, it was basically called Le Système International D Units. Okay, so from this it is S and I has taken out like this. It is known as the SI units. Alright, it is the International System of Units. So nowadays SI unit is widely accepted. So when SI units launched, scientists suggested that you only have to remember these 7 fundamental units to measure matter. It can be accepted worldwide. So that is the International System of Units. That is the SI units. Now the SI unit is basically divided into two categories, or you can say that scientists, they said that there are 7 base units, right? There are 7 base units. As I said, these 7 fundamental units or base units, it can be used to measure matter, and it can be accepted worldwide. Okay, it is the fundamental unit. And the other type of SI unit is derived unit, which are derived from these fundamental units. Okay, so in this system, SI unit system, there are 7 base units which are known as the fundamental unit, which are independent. It is just independent. It has not been derived from anywhere. It is independent, and it cannot be derived from any other units. And what are those SI units, base units? See, the base units are length, mass, time, electric current, temperature, amount of substance, and luminous intensity. So if you want to remember this, I have given you one mnemonic like this: METTALL, metal, right? So here M stands for mass, E stands for electric current, T stands for temperature, again T stands for time, A stands for amount of substance, L stands for length, and again L stands for luminous intensity. So the SI unit for length is meter, for mass it is kilogram, for time it is second, for electric current is ampere, for temperature it is Kelvin, amount of substance it is mole. It is very important in this chapter because we have to study this here. And luminous intensity is candela. Okay, fine. Then there are some derived units which I will explain later. So now, in chemistry, we always cannot use these units for, because these units are for very large quantities, isn't it? Meter is for very large quantity, kilogram, second, ampere, Kelvin. These are for very large quantities, right? In chemistry, we use smaller units. In chemistry, what we use? Smaller units. So with measured units, we sometimes add some prefix. For example, if I have something in meters, but I want a very small unit for describing a particular quantity, if I say it is picometer, so pico is the prefix over here and meter is the SI unit. Okay, so prefix must be used before SI unit. So you need to learn about prefixes also. Now, if I have something like this, if I am weighing something, and if I got like this 0.000000001 kg, is it possible to write and perform some kind of experiments, or you can say calculations using this type of 0.0000001 number? No, right? Because it is very difficult for us to perform calculations using this. So that is why we use prefix to depict some small quantities. You just need to remember some prefixes from 10 to the power minus 15 to 10 to the power plus 15. Alright, so prefixes are what? The physical quantities are either too small or too large. To change the magnitude, these units are expressed by using prefixes before the name of the base units. So for example, just see over here, these are the prefixes. 10 to the power 1 is deca, symbol is DA. 10 to the power 2 is hecto, 10 to the power 3 is kilo, 10 to the power 6 is mega, and so on. Just see 1 2, after that just use 3 is table. 3 tens are 3, 3 twos are 6, 3 threes are 9, 3 fours are 12, 3 fives are 15, 3 sixes are 18, 3 sevens are 21, 3 eights are 24. Up to 24 I have given you, but you can remember plus 15 to minus 15. After that, for or smaller units, these are for bigger units. Prefixes sometimes are also used for bigger units also. For example, gram. After that, if it is kilo, I can write it kilogram, right? So these are the prefixes. So now here, for the smaller units like this, it is deci, centi, milli, micro, nano, pico, femto, atto, zepto and yocto, right? So how do we use this? So basically just see here over here that ये 10 to the power -1 -2 है क्या. For example, अगर मैं बोल रही हूँ 10 to the power -6, it is basically 1 divided by 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3 4 5 6. ठीक है, तो ये क्या हो जाएगा 0.000001. ठीक है, तो इसको हम इतना ऐसे नहीं लिख के हम 10 to the power -6 लिख देंगे. -6 क्यों लिख रहे हैं? क्योंकि डिनोमिनेटर में हमारे पास 6 ज़ीरोज़ हैं. ठीक है, तो वो न्यूमरेटर में जाएगा तो वो हम उसको माइनस में लिखते हैं. माइनस का मतलब ही है कि वो डिवाइड हुआ है इतने नंबर से. ठीक है, समझ रहे हो, इतने ज़ीरोज़ से. So this is what it means. So if I say that 10 to the power -3, it means that 1 by 1000 है, मतलब 10 to the power -3. 10 to the power -3 को हम क्या कहेंगे? मिली कहेंगे. ठीक है, 10 to the power -6 को क्या कहेंगे? माइक्रो कहेंगे. So we use these prefixes with the fundamental units to use them to represent some unit. For example, if you have this 10 to the power -6 second, so how to write it? क्या आप ऐसे लिखेंगे 0.000001 इस तरह से लिखेंगे क्या, कि आप ये लिख देंगे सीधा माइक्रो सेकेंड? क्योंकि आपको पता है 10 to the power 6 क्या है, इट इज़ माइक्रो है. सो माइक्रो सेकेंड, माइक्रो को हम लोग न्यू से भी डिनोट करते हैं, न्यू सेकेंड. इसका मतलब है 10 to the power 6 सेकेंड -6 सेकेंड है मतलब माइक्रो सेकेंड. सो माइक्रो हियर इज़ द प्रीफिक्स एंड सेकेंड हियर इज़ द फंडामेंटल यूनिट. ऑलराइट, फाइन, इट इज़ द बेस यूनिट. Clear? Now, after that, there are some derived units. You can see here derived units. So some units are also there in SI unit, meaning we can use these 7 fundamental units to derive some other units of some other physical quantities like speed, volume, density, etc. So just talk about some of the derived units. So first of all, mass and weight. So mass, what is mass? Mass is the amount of substance or matter which is present in a substance. It remains constant for a substance at all places. And what is weight? Weight is the force exerted by gravity on an object. It varies from place to place. Why? Because see, weight is actually mass into the force exerted on this mass by gravity. For just suppose this is some mass or this is some body of mass something kg. So the weight of gravity which is applied on this body, together it combines the weight, right? Means weight is mass into gravity. Now this weight, it depends on gravity. So if we go to some other planet, our weight changes. Our weight what? It changes. So if you are here of 60 kgs, just suppose in some other planet you are 30 kg, because the gravity is different there, right? So mass and weight, there is a difference between these two. All right, the unit of mass is kilogram, right? But in laboratory usually gram is used. Similarly, the unit of weight is Newton. So let's derive this unit Newton using the weight of using the unit of mass. So as I said, that weight is equal to mass into gravity. Okay, now mass is always SI unit of mass, we have taken it as kg, right? And gravity, what is the unit of gravity? It is meter per second square. So this kg into meter per second square, this is known as Newton. Newton is what? Newton is nothing but kg meter per second square. This is Newton. Alright, so weight of unit of weight is Newton, which is a derived unit. Which is what? Is derived, a derived unit, because it has been derived from the fundamental unit. Okay. Now after that we have volume. Now volume is what? Volume is the space occupied by matter. It is usually liquid or a gas. It is volume. Now just suppose you have a cube over here. You have a cube. Now the cube has some length, right? It also has some breadth or width, and it also has some height. Okay, so we can write that volume of a cube is equal to length into breadth into height. And what is the unit, fundamental unit or base unit of length? It is meter. Breadth and height is also a type of length, isn't it? Fine, ये भी तो हम लोग वही कर रहे हैं ना, चौड़ाई और लंबाई नाप रहे हैं, तो वो भी वही बात है, तो इसको भी हम मीटर में लिखेंगे. So it is meter cube. Volume of particular cube is meter cube. Alright, and the SI unit of volume is meter cube. Right? Now in laboratories, we use smaller volumes like centimeter cube or milliliter or decimeter cube or liter. We use these kind of things. So we can say that 1 liter is equal to 1000 milliliter. Okay, or 1000 centimeter cube, or it is also equal to 1 decimeter cube. Also 1 meter cube is equal to 100 centimeter cube or 10 to the power 6 centimeter cube, or 10 to the power 3 decimeter cube, or 10 to the power 3 liter. These all units are correlated. Now if you have taken a measuring cylinder, and it has these type of markings, that 10 milliliter, 20 milliliter, 30 milliliter, 40 milliliter, and so on. Now if you have taken some water in this measuring cylinder, and it is saying that it is 20 milliliter, right? So 1 milliliter is equal to, or you can say that 1 liter is equal to 1000 milliliter, right? And also 1 liter is also equal to 1 decimeter cube, which is again equal to 1000 centimeter cube. So I can write here that 1000 milliliter is equal to 1000 centimeter cube. I can write it here like this, or I can say 1 milliliter is also equal to 1 centimeter cube. ये भी होगा ना? तो अगर यहाँ पे 20 milliliter है, so 20 milliliter is equal to how many centimeter cubes? 20 centimeter cube. So basically in laboratories, the volume of liquids or solution, it is measured by graduated cylinder, burette, pipette. So these are termed as cc. इसका जो यूनिट हम लोग लिखते हैं वो लिखते हैं cc. cc is what? Nothing but सेंटीमीटर क्यूब. सेंटीमीटर क्यूब नहीं लिख के हम लोग लिखते हैं क्यूबिक सेंटीमीटर. ठीक है. Now density. Density, again I can derive the unit of density from other base units. So density is equal to mass per unit volume. So the mass is written in kg and the volume is written in meter cube, right? So density is equal to kg per meter cube. Now why have I written minus here? Because it is in the division form. When I am writing it or taking it up in the numerator, I have to write here minus because it is in the decimal form here. Alright. So the unit or SI unit of density is kg per meter cube, and I have derived this unit from the base unit. Alright. Correct. After that, let's move on to temperature. Now temperature is the degree of hotness and coldness of a body, and there are 3 scales for measuring the temperature. We know that is Celsius scale, Kelvin scale, and Fahrenheit scale. Right, we know this. So if you have just suppose, let's see here, yeah, just suppose you have temperature in degree Celsius and you want to convert this in Kelvin. How to do it? There is a formula for this. Kelvin is equal to degree Celsius plus 273.15. Alright. Means whatever degree Celsius is given, if you want to change it into Kelvin scale, you have to add 273.15 Kelvin to this degree Celsius temperature, so that you can convert it. And in chemistry, always remember, you have to convert you have to convert the degree Celsius into Kelvin, because Kelvin is the what scale? You have just seen now. Just a minute. That Kelvin, you can see here, the SI unit of temperature is Kelvin. So always you have to change the particular physical quantities units into SI unit. So that is why I have to change it. So remember this formula. So just suppose you have 20 degrees Celsius and you have to change this into Kelvin. So what we will do, you will add this 20 degrees Celsius to 273.15 Kelvin. So you will get 293.15 Kelvin. Okay. So here again a vice versa can also occur, like if Kelvin scale is given and if you want to find out the degree Celsius, so you can always do this, just minus it out, subtract this, you will get degree Celsius, right? अगर 273 केल्विन दिया हुआ है तो आप इसको 273 माइनस 273.15 कर दो तो वो डिग्री सेल्सियस में चेंज हो जाएगा. फाइन. Now again, if you have degree Celsius and you want to convert it into degree Fahrenheit, so what you will do? You will do this, that is degree Fahrenheit is equal to 9/5 degree Celsius plus 32. This is the formula. And if you want to change degree Fahrenheit to degree Celsius, so for this you will do this 5/9, alright, degree Fahrenheit minus 32. Okay. After that, lastly, we have one more thing is there. The lowest temperature permitted in nature is minus 273.15 degrees Celsius or 0 Kelvin, and this temperature is called absolute zero. मतलब इससे कम और इससे नीचे और इससे ठंडा कुछ नहीं हो सकता. एब्सोल्यूट ज़ीरो मतलब एक्सट्रीम कोल्ड. एक्सट्रीम तो बहुत कम हो गया, ये मतलब ऐसा ज़ीरो है जिसके नीचे और टेम्परेचर नहीं जा सकता. दिस इज़ एब्सोल्यूट ज़ीरो. ऑलराइट. After that, one more thing is there, that is length. The SI unit of length is basically, it is given, it is meter, right? But since in chemistry we are doing some kind of experiments always, so length is always written in angstrom, ठीक है, और nanometer or picometer, like this. So 1 angstrom is equal to how many meters? It is 10 to the power minus 10 meters. 1 nanometer is equal to how many meters? It is 10 to the power minus 9 meters. 1 picometer is equal to how many meters? It is 10 to the power minus 12 meters. So you have to remember these. So that's all for this video. So today in this video I have discussed about matter and how to measure the matter. Alright, in the next video I will talk about the uncertainty in measurements. Means there will always be some kind of uncertainties whenever we are measuring some kind of matter. Means mistakes तो हो ही सकते हैं. We will talk about those mistakes that we basically do and how to rectify those mistakes. So that's all for today. Thank you.